Welcome to MentorMyBoard, where leaders thrive. And a question that we can start our discussion today with is, with you being on ICAI and so many other advisory boards, when it comes to finance, when it comes to financial advisory, when it comes to risk management, what skills do you think leaders must have in order to do their responsibilities better?
Thank you, Sandhya, for having me here. Today's program has been great on MentorMyBoard. As corporate leaders, and especially from a finance perspective, I think it's very critical that the position of the company which you are in, keep on sort of monitoring, observing that. What's the right time to raise debt? What's the right time to raise equity? The different stages of the company's growth profile. Whether your receivables are under control, whether your liabilities are under control. So there are various parameters. So the leader's job is to keep on observing as a director, whether all these are under the parameters under control, and then appropriate time take action, what is required. Raising debt, raising capital, pushing for the receivables to be collected, pushing for the payables to be within the norms, which are required in today's time. So that is one area where I think a focus has to be there. Second area where I think we need focus is, what are the new developments in the markets? For example, currently India is a hot story. Even foreign companies are raising capital in India, the likes of Hyundai and many other foreign companies.
Yes.
They're not raising in Korea or in US, but Indian valuations are good. So being aware and taking the right decisions. So even if I'm a foreign company, whether to raise funds in Indian markets or in US markets or in UK markets, so being open to the changing world environment and taking positions accordingly. Another key area of focus is the forex risk management. Assuming your company is dependent, whether say import from China or export to some other countries. So the way the forex volatility is, are you having the right advice to manage the volatility? So these are various parameters from a finance perspective. I think the leaders have to bring in as far as the company functioning is concerned.
So when it comes to governance, what is your advice for the alignment between the stakeholders, the board members? There are so many. So what should be your advice? What should people look out for when it comes to governance?
I think harmony in governance is the most critical. How you handle people, the interpersonal, interpeople management, interhuman management is in my view the most critical. And despite being honest to your job, despite being true to your role, whether as an independent director or as a management, so there has to be harmony. Only then governance can improve. I have been on certain boards where I got one director who was absolutely, I would say, just like a mother-in-law, always criticizing time in and time again.
Okay.
That's not the right way, in my view. You have to give the people who are in the management, they have got a job to do, they have got their own problems on a day-to-day job. So how do you bring in change where required without being a mother-in-law, I would say. And I always quote an example of a doctor. So whether you're giving a bitter medicine or a sugar-coated pill. So I'm a very strong believer, as a director, you have to give a sugar-coated pill. The way you deal with people. So there's a difference between raising an issue and how the issue is raised. Don't raise an issue in a manner which impacts people. So how do you communicate your point where the opposite person accepts it smilingly and willingly? That's an art. So having said that, it's very difficult. I've been lucky in my career where I've seen some of these people deal in this manner, very senior people, and I try to imbibe that. In the sense, communicate your point without, personally impacting a person. Try to do that. I'm not saying it's not easy. The way we are brought up, we generally are brought up where we speak bluntly. Once in a while, bluntness is required. Where a push comes to a show where people are not, so that also is required once in a while. But by and large, 99% of the time, 90 to 99% of the time, you have to see that, you communicate your points very nicely so that harmony remains. You are not showstoppers. You sort of get people together, how there's cohesiveness, how there's, collaboration. If you are blunt and if you are critical, then I think that relationship is not going to last for long. Either the director will go away or the person will go away.
So it's like balancing between the two ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
Is what you are suggesting.
Absolutely.
So here is my next question, which says that what we are looking at is for boardrooms be learning perhaps the mother of all soft skills, which is leadership.
Absolutely.
And maybe a heart-centered leadership or that. And that's where I think platforms like MentorMyBoard are trying to create a difference, because they are also trying to balance, and I would like your observations on this, sir, that when it comes to balancing core skills of the boardroom and the soft skills, like it's a hard skill and the soft skill. So what would be your observations on platforms like MentorMyBoard?
MentorMyBoard is doing a tremendous work, a superb work as far as mentoring potential board members, especially as you rightly said, the specialist area, the core where they come from, and marrying it with the soft skills so that we get good people on the boards who can deliver more value. So I think MentorMyBoard is doing, I've been associated with MentorMyBoard as an advisory member right from the inception, and I've seen for the last many years the way it is sort of coming up and shaping up, and they're adding a lot of value on the governance front in the country, where they are developing directors to add value to the companies.
So what would be your direction to such platforms, that where should such platforms perhaps not lose focus? There is always a chance that you start something great and then it kinds of
continued focus is required. This is also an evolving space. So right from sort of what is required for directors to be there, so they are taking help of people like us who are already directors in a number of companies. How do you do mentoring? How do you so whatever the skill gaps are there, whether it's hard, the core functional skills or the soft skills, so marry both of them. So whatever gaps are there, train members who are potential who may be qualified otherwise. They may be specialists in the company secretary or a chartered accountant or a business person having experienced professional, so on and so forth. So they are good in their respective areas, but what other skills are required to be on the board? So on the leadership part,
right?
That's what MentorMyBoard is bringing in and adding value to the industry as well as to the individuals.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. So it has to be a win-win. I mean, Absolutely. It is a win-win, through and through.
Absolutely.
If I may say so. So, Nilesh ji, when it comes to India growth story, you rightly said that India is such a hot topic. How can India start influencing, boardroom behaviors or boardroom culture? We are already influencing the world with our spiritual culture and otherwise also. But do you see India also influencing the boardroom culture in the coming future?
I strongly believe so. I think we have been the world leaders. If you look at 5,000 years back or 2,000, we have been, in the whole way the world has evolved or the culture has evolved. I think India has been the bastion of, we are a spiritual guru or the culture guru of the world. I think the same thing will come to the boardrooms also. Currently, of course, we are getting influenced by the Western world, by the various management gurus which we see. No, nothing wrong in that, where we have got the skill gaps, we are sort of, but I'm sure our uniqueness of the Indian, I would say, culture is going to impact the boards, and we'll see that more and more in times to come.
Wonderful.
We have seen companies like Infosys who have set up leadership standards as far as governance is concerned, not only in India, the world over. So and that I will see more of them as time goes by.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Nilesh ji. It has been a wonderful discussion, interaction with you. And I'm sure that with your continued patronage, we will achieve the corporate governance culture that we are looking at, and India would definitely be in a position to influence boardroom cultures globally.
Thank you, Sandhya. It has been a pleasure being part of the MentorMyBoard advisory team and adding value wherever required.
Thank you.
Thank you.